Good evening and welcome to Catholic Peekskill. I'm Father John Higgins, your host for this public access show. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your living room. Catholic Peekskill attempts each time we air the show to bring to our viewers a little bit about the Catholic Church as it finds its concrete expression in Peekskill. There is only one Roman Catholic Church in Peekskill. It's the Church of the Assumption. Hope you'll always feel very, very welcome there. But there's so much going on in Peekskill that relates to the Catholic Church. We want to bring you the glory of all things Catholic. So glad you're with us this evening. Now, one of the things that Catholics take very seriously is the obligation to have respect and love for the dignity of all human life, from the first moment of conception to natural death. Assumption Church in Peekskill, for its 152 years, has always been unapologetically pro-life. Always respectful, of course, of everyone, and yet we want to help people to understand that every life is precious, that we are all made in the image and likeness of God. Here in Peekskill, one of the great and loving ways that the Church's understanding of pro-life has been found a concrete expression is in Birthright. Now, I should hasten to add that Birthright is a non-denominational organization that helps women in crisis pregnancies. And so I'm glad that our guests could join us tonight. We have with us Trish Dearline and Tina McDermott, who are volunteers for Birthright here in Peekskill. Tina and Trish, so glad you could join us here tonight. Thanks so much for being with us. Tell us a little bit about the work of Birthright.
The message Birthright would like to proclaim is that it is the right of every woman to give birth and the right of every child to be born.
Beautiful.
We are interdenominational, made of our volunteers are of many different religions, and I think Trish and I are very proud to represent our Catholic faith. I have met many volunteers of other faiths who have said how privileged we are that our faith backs us in our beliefs, whereas they personally may be pro-life, but their churches are not. So they stand alone, but we have a community behind us.
Well, you can certainly count on the support of Assumption Church in Peekskill, and we're happy to promote all things that relate to the promotion of human life. Tell us now, Birthright itself, where is it located?
We're at 1029 Park Street, right on one block over from the health center.
Okay, that's near the new Seatown supermarket there?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And it's right by where the farmers market is on Saturday.
Okay, across from the parking
lot.
So
we get a lot of traffic by where we are right now. We have a storefront that took us many years to get, but we're very blessed to have it because we're finally visible to the public.
Now I'm curious, tell us a little bit about the history. It wasn't always there on Park Avenue?
No, it wasn't. We've had many different locations. We started out in St. Luke's Church.
On Main Street.
On Main Street.
Many years ago.
In a basement.
Wow.
Then we went, we had a lawyer's office upstairs, and we were in the Knights of Columbus building for many years.
Oh, right there on Union Avenue.
Right, all up flights of stairs, which made it very difficult for the women with carriages, and just ourselves getting our supplies in and out. And it was, not a cohesive office. Where we are now, it's a nice office. It flows. We have the visibility. It's comfortable for the clients. It's comfortable for the volunteers. So we really feel blessed to have it.
I'd like to ask each of you to maybe tell a little bit about your involvement, how you got started. Trish, how did you, Tina, how did you get started in Birthright?
I was on a retreat. I was on a Cursillo retreat about 36 years ago.
Wow.
Where they asked us to come forward following our Catholic beliefs, following our Christian beliefs, to be active within the church. And it was about a month afterwards that someone called and said, would you like to find out about Birthright? Knew nothing about it. And I came to one information session, and I was hooked. I had had 4 children already, and firmly believed in life and believed within the child I was carrying. And if I could just do something to help one other person, I was more than happy, and that was 36 years ago.
And you just started volunteering by working
just
there,
doing what I could. We're jack of all trades and masters of none. And what we can do, if there's anything we can do, we will try and do it.
Wonderful. How about you, Trish? How did you get involved in the work of Birthright?
I was a stay-at-home mom, and I also had 4 children, and my youngest one had entered kindergarten, so I now had a couple of hours that I was looking to do something with, and Tina had put in the bulletin in our church that they were looking for volunteers, and I went over and interviewed with her, and I've been there ever since.
How many years have you been volunteering?
I was trying to figure that out. I think it's about 25.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
So
long time.
between you, you have more than 60 years working to...
But that's why we need new blood.
Right.
Okay, sure.
Not that we're phasing out, but we really need to have more volunteers. I was in the office for about 3.5 hours this morning, which is a normal shift, and as I was leaving, 2 women were still coming in to be helped. We need more volunteers to be open more hours, and it's time that we start needing some younger volunteers. We know that a lot of people are working. We've all had to work part-time jobs at some time. We are therefore open evening hours, and we're open Saturdays, so they're hopefully convenient for our clients, but also that we can be convenient for volunteers to be able to volunteer.
Wonderful. So I know the Birthright number will be available on the screen, if not now, a little bit later on in the show, so that anyone who may have some time and willingness to volunteer can give a call to Birthright. But maybe you could just give a little bit more what a Birthright volunteer would do. Like, I know they serve the needs of women who come, especially in crisis pregnancy. What would be a typical person, woman, I would imagine normally, who would come to take advantage of the services of Birthright?
Of the services. There is no typical woman. We have women, girls as young as 14, and we have women that are going through the change of life who think they might be pregnant. So it's the whole spectrum. We have, as I said, young girls come in who are scared, who they've come in probably during a free period from school, and they need someone to talk to and just be able to talk through their problem, get a pregnancy test. But then we also have old women who have other children, and the idea of having another child is a little bit overwhelming, and they need someone to talk to also. And that's what we do more than anything, is just listen. Not that we try to solve anybody's problems, but just listen and help them find solutions to their problems.
Wow.
Excuse me, we also have parents who have just found out that their child may be pregnant.
And then come forward.
And they've come forward.
to-
And some of these parents are women that we helped. So they've trusted us for 15, 20 years.
Yeah, that's the
And they
thing,
know that we're
being
still
around
there.
as long as we have, we're now seeing
The
the
next
next generation. you
Not
know.
that they're, having babies haphazardly, but that they're trusting. We've been there. We promised we would help them. We have helped them. We've continued. Just because they have the baby, our services don't stop. We try and be there as long as they'll need us.
Probably 3/4 of the people that come to us are word of mouth. Friends or family have sent them because they've either used the services or heard of somebody that has come to Birthright in the past. Very few women come in and say, we saw you on the internet or we saw your sign. It's mostly word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Now you mentioned their first need frequently is just to talk, to sort things out for themselves. You mentioned that sometimes they help with pregnancy tests as well.
Right.
What else? I'm sure the list goes on and on. If it's anything, could you give us some examples maybe of ways that you've helped people in need?
We've helped with bills. We've helped women who want to go back to work. We've given them grants. Sometimes they don't have the money to pay a babysitter until they get their first paycheck. So sometimes we'll, give them an advance so that they can get to work, pay a babysitter, and then start the process. Some of them going back to school, the same thing. They need some help with sitters and stuff while they go back to school to even get their GED or just increase their skills so they can get a better job. So, we do everything. We've paid utility bills. We've helped with deposits for rent to get an apartment. It's whatever they need. That's the first thing we ask a girl is, what are your current
What do you
needs?
need? Yeah.
Right, what do you need right now?
Now, before we started recording, Trish, Tina, you told a very interesting story about someone who needed...
Oh, it was a couple, and he was unemployed. And there's just no way we're going to be able to afford a baby at this time. They didn't want to depend on social services. He was a very proud man. And we realized as we were talking that if we could pay the $75 for a pair of work boots for him so that he could go and get a job, she would have the baby. We were able to provide the work boots. He got a job, he supported his family, and they lived happily ever after, hopefully.
Wonderful.
Yeah. We'll help them with diapers, clothing. We have multitude of clothing. People are wonderful. And it's a good feeling when you see our women themselves bring back the clothing that we had given them, that now they want to help somebody else.
And it's sometimes over when the women come in to just look through clothing, and there might be a volunteer next to them folding clothes with them, and that's more the person that they'll open up to and share. You take them back in an office and it's stiff and they're nervous, but if they're just standing there looking at clothes, they might start to share about a previous abortion or something else that they think they might be pregnant, and we can invite them back to have a pregnancy test and then start to work through their pregnancy with them.
Now, Trish and Tina, we have maybe all different kinds of people who are watching the show. What would be, the way you would help someone? Say they come, let's say for example, a young woman comes, very nervous. Maybe she's living at home with her parents. Let's say a teenager. She's going back and forth. I don't know what I can do. I'm so confused. What's the first thing you would say to a girl in those circumstances?
We'd like to confirm her pregnancy for the first thing, to make sure, is our pregnancy test positive? We are not doctors, we are not nurses, even if some of our volunteers are. They are not there because they're professionals.
They're just volunteers.
So we want to get her to a doctor, if possible, to confirm it, the pregnancy. And then what can we do to help? If it's that she's scared of her parents, would you like me to come with you? Would you
We've
like
even brainstormed ways they can tell their parents that, would make it less frightening. And
Wow. Have you gone to let parents know that their daughter is pregnant?
Oh, I have, yeah.
Yeah, what is that like? That must make you nervous in and of itself.
Oh, yeah, you take the Lord with you. This is where I need my faith, But they were fine once we did it all. Once we were able to sit down and communicate it. They did realize that something was up. I wouldn't be surprised if they surmised that there was a pregnancy.
Yes.
But now it was out in the open. And once it's out in the open, we can go the next step and we can show them all the ways that we can help. We're not going to force anything. We're not going to condemn anybody for having an abortion. We're just going to simply love as Jesus loved.
Beautiful. Thank you. Now, obviously you're doing a lot of services of pregnancy tests and clothing and food and diapers and helping with Con Ed bills or anything like that. How is it that you're able to afford that? Where does the money come from? Falls from heaven?
it does. When I first started volunteering with Tina, she just had this little checkbook and she'd have it out there and she says, I don't know how we're going to pay the rent at the end of the month. And the next day the mail would come in and there would be a check for the exact amount we owed. That back then we really were living from day to day waiting for that next check to come in the mail. Thank God right now we have very generous parishes supporting us and coming out to our different fundraisers.
We just had our walkathon, our Walk for Life.
Oh, yes,
We've had for about 13 years, which Father Higgins, I think you started it off this year, didn't you? Were you one of the first walkers?
Yeah,
yes,
I was the first walker.
Yes, you usually are. And Assumption was very generous to us. The people donating money, a lot of people walking, and many of the parishes and many of the non-Catholic churches too, supporting us. I don't know what the final tally was.
I haven't heard.
I think it was about $40,000 or $45,000 that was raised, if not more.
Wonderful.
Yeah, which is a big help to us every year, that we can fulfill the promises we made, of the promises of what can we do to help you bring this baby to term. We also have a banquet in the spring usually for people to come, for people to find out about us, to support. We have newsletters, the Lifeline. If anybody would like a copy of our Lifeline to find out about us, they can just call our office or whatever, and it brings in more donations. The more people who hear about us, the more
We
we'll
also
help.
do something called baby bottles. That's mostly like youth groups and stuff. They'll take the baby bottles and keep them for like a month or so and throw spare change into it, and then they bring it back. And you wouldn't be, they add up very quickly. There might only be small amounts from each little group, but boy, that adds up at the end of the year.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
It's caught on. The needs are real, but the generosity is there and
It
God
is.
provides.
And the Lord provides.
Yeah.
People do diaper drives for us. They do baby showers for us. So, I mean, they
I
are
think
very
Assumption
generous.
has a drive for us every year at the Epiphany, I think it is.
We've
You
helped
have a
in many
mass,
ways, yeah.
and the children in the school, I think, bring gifts for the baby Jesus,
That's right.
which are then brought to Birthright and used in with our babies,
With our layettes.
which is wonderful. That every baby born through Birthright receives a completely new layette. A layette is, diapers and T-shirts and a couple little
blankets,
pajamas.
sheets.
We have people who crochet or knit beautiful baby blankets for us. They don't even know the mothers. Baby hasn't been born yet, that we can give these and say, someone made this just for you.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I think the story nearest to and dearest to my heart, it was a young woman here in Peekskill. She was Catholic, and she was going to have an abortion. And we talked her through it. She happened to be mentally challenged, and society said she would never be able to be a good mother. Well, fast forward 8 years later, when the little girl is now receiving her first communion, and we went to the little party she had. This is a mentally challenged woman with an 8-year-old child who then writes a thank you. I had to pull teeth to get a thank you from my kids. She wrote a thank you to us volunteers at Birthright. Thank you, Birthright. If it was not for you, I would not have been born.
Wow.
And that story has always lives with me forever. And I
There's
just thought,
a living enfleshment,
Yes.
the presence of Christ himself
yes,
in that little
that
child.
she realized what had happened,
Wonderful.
that her mother was able to impress that upon her.
Do you think, is there a particular moment, would you say, when a young woman or a woman of any age is on the fence going back and forth, when she might make a decision? Is there anything that would say, okay, I think I want to give life to this child?
Something that we love to be able to share with our mothers when we do one of their pregnancy tests, and maybe she is almost 3 months pregnant, maybe she's 2 months pregnant, that we can show her this little model of who her baby is at this point, and that we can put this baby in the palm of her hand.
Now,
This is the size of a 10-week-old child.
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Very early, but
So
still
the-
clearly developed.
Completely developed, that the heart is beating, the fingerprints are there, the eyes are there, the footprints are there. The heart is beating, that will hopefully beat for another 100 years. Nothing comes from nothing, as the Sound of Music says.
Yeah.
And that baby can only be.
So they hold
That
this
mother.
little image and this little baby, I guess it's made out of plastic, in their hands, and that is a changing moment for them.
Hold that baby in your hand, if you'd like. I'm not going to force it on
Right.
anybody.
Yeah, may I hold it?
Sure.
Yeah, just to think how precious. Yeah. That's a wonderful work to do, just to even do a simple work of letting people know that this is a real life. I suppose you do have some who might find their way to Birthright who maybe would even describe themselves as pro-choice. Is that true?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we get most of the girls that come in, they've gone through school, they've been exposed to so many things that their values are very modern. They feel that they has to be that way in order to be accepted among their peers, because if they don't want to be rejected by their peers, so they have to go with the norm, which is to be pro-choice. And we explain to them that we actually are pro-choice too, but our choices don't involve abortion. Our choices involve ways that you can have your baby and make a plan for your child, whether it be for you to raise and your child yourself, or to maybe put your child up for adoption.
Does Birthright help moms to go through that process of putting a child up for
We
adoption?
don't do it directly. We do insist that we go through, they go through legal registered agencies.
But you help them to make that
But
connection.
we make the
Oh,
connection.
sure.
Oh, yes. We'll give them a list of agencies that they can contact.
We'll have the agency meet at our office if they want, if
right.
that's a comfortable.
Right. Sometimes they're comfortable the first couple of meetings to come to our office and meet them.
And we assure them that the agencies are not going to pressure them into an adoption.
Yeah. Is that a small percentage of women?
Unfortunately, very small.
Yeah, because there's millions of couples who would love to adopt a baby.
Right.
Yes.
We know that that's true.
Yes.
I think because it's more acceptable nowadays for a girl to be raising her child herself. Being a single mom is not a stigma like it might have been back in the 50s when I was younger. And, you wouldn't, a girl was hidden away back then. That doesn't happen anymore. There are a lot of single mothers out there, and it's very accepted.
But yet being a single mother is not easy, we know.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons that we feel that if we do have diapers, that we can encourage them to come on in so that we can be talking with them, we can reinforcing their values, we can see where they're slipping through the cracks and they're not going to school maybe, and we can encourage that they need to go to a local food pantry. We can, give them referrals. They need to get back to work. They need daycare. We'll help you with that. So the diapers are kind of like dangling a carrot in front of the horse, or the clothes that we're, they're coming in now for snowsuits, that we've been saving throughout the year, that we can encourage them so that they'll be the best mothers, because we know they can do it.
Even the girls that come in that have a negative test, we try to start conversations with them to get them thinking about the choices they're making in their life. If they're telling us that they're not ready to have a baby right now, that if they are pregnant, they're going to have an abortion, then they need to rethink, what they're doing. If they don't want to be pregnant right now, then they need to start thinking about being more chaste and,
In their relationships.
In their relationships, yeah. That is the young man that they're going with pressuring them. We talk to them about all the different choices. Why are they sexually active right now if they don't want to have a baby? And so we try to plant some seeds wherever they're accepted. Some girls will come in, they want the pregnancy test and they want to be right out the door. But others are willing to at least let us plant a couple of seeds and they start thinking about the choices they're making. And that gives us, an opportunity to make some change there too.
Beautiful. Now let me ask just a few practical things. If I'm wanting to stop by Birthright, what are the normal operational hours currently?
Unfortunately, they change a lot, but we do keep our answering machine up to date. But
Okay.
most of the time, we're open most mornings except Friday. And we're on Saturday mornings from 10 to 12 also. And we have evening hours, Monday afternoons and Thursday evenings.
I see.
So we try to make a varied time so that no matter what a person's schedule is, there's some time available. Though any of us would be willing to meet with anybody at an appointment.
And all they have to do is
Yeah.
call the 800 number, and they can get a hold of us at any time.
We've often gone into the office at off hours just to meet with somebody because there's no other time they can go in.
Or they may want to come at a time when nobody else is there, to be anonymous. That's fine.
Mine too. Now I know if it's almost like you wish there were more hours that Birthright office
Yes.
was open, and which
Well,
again
here
brings
again,
up the
we
theme of
used to be
volunteers.
open. We used to be open more than 20 hours a week, and we're down to about 14, 15 hours now because our volunteers have slacked off a little bit. So here again, that's why we're asking for parishes to please put out the word that we do need, in addition to the financial support, we do need volunteers to come forward.
Sure. I hope some of the viewers of this show
We're hoping.
will see this.
They don't all have to work directly with the clients. Some volunteers are comfortable and they want to work with the clients, but others prefer to work behind the scenes, and there's lots of things they can do behind the scenes, just organizing the office and keeping things flowing. They don't all have to be counseling girls. Sometimes that's something that comes many years. They might volunteer for many years before they're ready to do that. But as I said, some of the volunteers working with the girls folding clothes don't realize that they're actually, counseling a girl while they're standing there. They say, "Oh no, I could never work with the girls," but they are, without even realizing they're doing it. So,
Are there any requirements for volunteers?
we do have a training.
Okay.
When someone wants to volunteer, we'll send them a copy of our charter to make sure they're in agreement with the charter. We're an international organization, so there is a charter that all of the birthrights throughout Canada and the United States have to follow.
Wonderful.
We usually send them a story of Birthright, which involves the whole story of Louise Summerhill, who was the founder. And then we'll get them to come into the office and just work a little bit with us. And if they're feeling comfortable and it looks like it's something they're going to want to do, we do have a regular training that they go through to go through the charter bit by bit and teach them how to, counsel a girl and work with her.
And that's also something else that people have to realize, that we were founded by Louise Summerhill in Canada, about 40 years ago. And we are international. We have a birthright of the United States. Within the United States birthright, we have birthright of New York State.
I see.
And then birthright of Northern Westchester, Putnam counties, is one chapter of about 50 in New York State. So we can connect with them. If a girl is going off to college, we can usually find a college or a birthright near them. And at times when money has been very tight maybe with us, we have been able to ask other birthrights to help, and we've been able to help them.
Well, Tina and
They're
Trish,
not
I want
alone.
to thank you so much for letting our viewers know they're not alone,
Thank
or
you.
if they can help, they can. I thank you so much for joining us here at Catholic Peekskill. Hope you'll come to join us again. We wish you God's best blessings. Please visit us at our church right there in the heart of Peekskill in the historic district. We're on 920 Monsignor Ansborough Way. If you're there, come say hello, or visit us on our website, www.assumptionpeekskill.org, or our blog. You can find the link there. I'm Father John Higgins. Thank you for joining us here at Catholic Peekskill.